What up guys and girls, welcome to another YouTube tutorial for the Making Beats for Fun series. This is just a quick beat breakdown of making a trap beat using the Maschine software only. So I've got my hardware connected up, but I wanted to see if I could make the track just a trap beat using the software only in Maschine. So pretty much I'm using version 2.7.2 of Maschine software. I've got the MK2 set up as well, but I'm not going to try and use the hardware. I want to see if it's possible to make the trap beat using the software only. So I'll show you at the moment. You can either use your own samples that you buy from kits or use the Maschine samplers that come with the Maschine software, or if you buy your own kits. But for this tutorial I've got a couple of sample packs that I bought from the internet, and I'll show you now. Pretty much there's samples from the Producer's Choice, there's loopmasters.com, and there's also modernproducers.com as well. And let's begin. So in the Maschine software, create a file, create a new file, and over here, instead of the scene, we want to work just with pretty much with one group. We can make a track, and in this group we have 16 sounds from 1 all the way down to 16. And if you go to the mixer, you'll see that each of the sounds you can control the volume and the panning left and right. You can add effects to each individual sound. So instead of using the Maschine samples, if you go to files, and you can browse on the desktop or wherever you have your folder. I've created a folder with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual wave sounds. There's an 808 bass, open hi-hat, another hi-hat, a clap, a kick, and then just an effect. So we begin in the Maschine software. So I'll be working just with one group, and it is possible to create a whole track with one group and one pattern. So I'm going to choose the tempo, make it a little bit faster, around 100, let's say 58 beats per minute. So pretty much if you click once over here in your step editor, so this is your track editor over here, that's your step editor, and then your keyboard roll. If I click just once over here, you'll see it will create a pattern, and your pattern length, if you click and drag up, you can go all the way to 4, 6, 8, 12, 20 bars. So what I'll do now is just go from, I'll say make an 8-bar loop, so from 1 to 9, that's 8 bars. And the gray line over here, this is your looping. So if I keep it from 1 to 3, it will loop 2 bars. Okay, so if you press play, you see nothing's happening. You can have your click track on as well. The one thing you can't do with Maschine software is if I press record now, usually with Logic, you can bring up the on-screen keyboard and record the sounds that way. But in Maschine software, I tried it and I don't think it works. If I press record and I put a sound in here, it won't record it. So let's begin. Take away the click track. Let's begin with the hi-hats. So you can either, one good thing about the Maschine software, you can have your folder on the desktop. Let's have a look, where did I put it? So you can have your folder on the desktop and then drag each sound directly into the Maschine software over here, or you can browse for it within the Maschine software on this side over here. So I've got a hi-hat. I can either drag it into the first sound or drag it that way. Okay, so pretty much from 1 to 3, it's 2-bar loop. This is my step editor. So if I double click and have my hi-hat running, it usually automatically puts it to the root key, which is the C3 in my keyboard editor. So if you come down here, you'll see it's put it into the root key, which is the C3. If I wanted to add different variations of the hi-hat, I can double click and have a whole array of variations. So let's begin by creating a pattern. What I'll do, change the polyphony to 1 so the sounds don't play over each other, and let's begin making our hi-hat pattern. Okay, so if I do the pattern in the step editor, we can do it, say, half a step like that. And one thing I've noticed with the Maschine software is not as easy to kind of copy and paste as the other programs. So if I select now one of the hi-hats and I press Command C, Command V, it kind of doesn't put it into the next step. So you have to kind of drag it across, or if you wanted to paste it, you have to click with a cursor and then press Control V, again with a cursor, Control V, and I'm just going to go all the way to the third bar. So Control V, click onto the next step, Control V. Okay, so as you can see, if I go into my keyboard editor, it will be on the root key, which is the C3, and I'll show you how to do a couple of variations afterwards. So keep going, whoops. All the way to the third bar. Alright, so now if I press play, so I've got it on 1/16th step to play the hi-hats, and just below it, if you want to add any effect to your hi-hat, you can add compression, or if you want to add any effects like phaser or reverb. So what I can do is add a little effect, just a phaser effect. Go into your native instruments, internal, choose phaser, just to give it a bit of a bounce. So not too much. Okay, so now to add a bit of variation to the hi-hats, to make it trap, go to your keyboard editor, which is over here, click on it, and just press pause for a minute, and let's begin changing the steps to 1/64th, and just above the root note, which is C3, click on the little blocks. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then press play. So you hear that triple hi-hat bounce. So we keep going. Let's make a bit of a better variation as well. Okay, so we come around to, let's say about here. Okay, let's make that 1/32 step. Okay, so we keep going again. So all I'm doing is just double clicking to add the hi-hat variation. Okay, Let's make that a little bit longer over here. So if you want to take away, you double tap on the sound and it will delete the sample. And let's just add one more variation to it. I'd say around here. Okay. So that was the hi-hat. Let's move on to the clap. So the clap we can add to sound number 2. Okay, change the polyphony again to 1, and we can change the steps to 1/16 again. So if we go to our step editor, the variation of the clap, we don't need to go lower or higher on the keyboard. We'll keep it as the root note C3. So let's begin pretty much with, let's have a look. Let's begin. Okay. So you see from 1 to 3, that's 2 bars. So the clap 1.3 step. And if you go to the keyboard, you'll see it'll come up on the root note C3. Okay, so next clap over here. Okay, so that's the clap. Moving on to the kick. So again, the kick we can do in the step editor. Change the polyphony to 1. Okay, so on the first step, okay, so step 2.5 to 2.2. Okay, and then moving on to, let's move on to the 808 bass as well. So this is one of the basses that I bought from one of the kits called 808 Weapons of Bass Destruction. Put it into sound number 4. So pretty much in the sound, whatever effects you add with a plus sign, it will be affected to that sound only. If you want to add any mastering or mastering to the group, either choose the group or prefer to choose the mastering to add any effects, and this is your mixer section over here. So whatever effects I add now, it will apply to all the samples. So if I add a for instance a compressor, can do a transient master and then a limiter, just to beef up the sound again. So can take the browser away. So pretty much all the mastering now will be affected for all the sounds in my group over here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sounds so far. Let's carry on with the 808 bass. So you double click and then you can drag the sound. Click on your sound again, so if the polyphony is not set to 1, as soon as I click again the 808, it will kind of play over each other, so you need to change the polyphony to 1. Okay, but we can change the keyboard edit over here. Okay, so that's the 808 sound. So if I've got my sound selected in the mixer, I can control each sound's volume, or if I want to so change the volume or pan it to the left or right. This is kind of where you do your mixing in the mixer. And then if you want to do the mastering, so choose your mastering, and then I've got my compressor, my transient master and the limiter. Of headroom over here for my compression. I think the 808 is a little bit too loud, so go to the sound and just turn down the 808 a bit. So pretty much I'm building up my song as I go along, just a 2-bar loop. If I want to extend it, I can copy and paste the same pattern over and over again. So again, we can go to view, browser, we can add a little effect to it as well. So come down to your okay, so drag your sound effect over here. Okay, just turn down the volume down a bit. effect to it. I can add some reverb maybe to this sound. I can maybe add a beat delay to it as well. Okay, so we keep holding our track. So it's 158 BPM, hi-hat, clap, kick, 808, weird effect sound is all in there. And I think the last sound for my beat will be, let's try the open hi-hat as well. So I got my step editor, which will put the note into the root key, which is the C3. Change the polyphony to 1 again. Alright, and one last thing we need to do, just to add another sound. Pretty much if you want to choose from your library of your native instruments, if you want to choose a bell sound or guitar sound, you can just type the bell sound and double click on one. Come to your keyboard editor and then just press with your mouse. That's the one thing you can't do is record in real time with the Maschine software. You have to go use the hardware. So I'm just going to record on the hardware now. So you press shift record. And yeah, we're just pulling up our track just for the 2-bar loop. We can create a whole track in Maschine using just the software. Alright, so I think that's about it for this quick trap booming beat tutorial using the Maschine software. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then just the extra sound, the bells, BPM 158. Just using one group, I have 16 sounds that I can add to this group, and each sound I can add an effect to it underneath with a plus sign. And then my mastering is where I can do the mastering for all the sounds. So sorry it took a little bit longer to do, but I'm still learning with Maschine software.